Hello, Dominic from BMT Spain, website for beginners to advanced players. And the video of today is about the forehand volley wrist practice. I'm teaching since the 80s and I have seen the forehand change from big loops to a shorter backwards preparation, from the one-handed backhand going most of them to the two-handed backhand. But in the forehand volley I haven't seen a lot of changes. Now, I still hear a lot that you have to make a body turn or a shoulder turn, you have to keep the racket above your wrist, you have to step into the ball, you have to extend towards your target. All these things, they already asked me when I started to learn to play tennis in the 70s, so that didn't change at all. Now, at BMT, we like to explain everything out of the hands, and also our forehand volley, we will use our hands, or let's say we are going to play with our wrist. Now, not all the balls we are going to play with our wrist. If there comes a fast ball and we want to have just a block volley, we want a firm wrist at contact. And if we want to play a drop volley, we want a loose wrist at contact, like the racket will drop out of your hands. But for all the rest, we are going to play the forehand volley out of our hand or using our wrist. And the wrist motion is very easy. It's again flexion to neutral, like we have in the forehand, like we have in a two-handed backhand. But to practice that, there are 3 ways to practice. And first we are going to practice the wrist motion, and that is just tapping the ball against the ground like this. So this part, this is your forehand volley. The actually movement is nothing more than that. We are not going to do it against the ground. The ball will come in front of us. We will have lower contacts, we will have mid-high contacts, and we will have high contacts. Now, the idea is to track it with the racket, is what my mentor Oscar Wegner said 20 years ago. Track it with the racket, meaning that if the ball comes and you see a lower contact, you are just going to open out of your hand, bringing the tip of the racket to the contact point, and from there you open the racket a little more and you flexion against the ball, unless you want to have that block volley or loose wrist if you want to have that drop volley. But if you want to play the normal volley, the tip of the racket goes to the contact, bringing the racket back and flexion against the ball. The same for mid-high contacts, the tip of the racket, you have your split, you open the racket out of your hand, you bring the racket back and you flexion against the ball. The same at higher contacts, racket goes up, the tip of the racket goes to the contact, and here you flexion against the ball. Now, for these contacts, for the low and the mid contacts, you can use the wall to practice, and for the higher contacts, you can use a board. So I will try to play some balls against the wall by just opening my racket and closing using my wrist. And if the ball will be low, try to check out my racket, that the tip is going down, that I'm not trying to keep my wrist, my racket above my wrist and bending to get in this position. Now that volley, I prefer to play in this position, which is more solid, which is more firm, and I will have the same control as I would have here. But because tennis involved, it goes so fast that you won't have the time to do all this, but you will have the time to make that split and play a volley like that. So first I will practice, try against the wall, because this wall is not completely even. There are some bubbles in it, so that if you play against the wall, that you have to move, that the ball not always comes in the same direction. And then I will practice against the board. Normally I have a bigger board, but I don't here. This is double and it is higher, so that you have more space to play, and you can change the angle in the board so that the ball is slower or comes a little higher. So first I'm going to try against the wall and check how I'm just using my hand, my wrist opening and closing, extension and flexion into neutral against the ball. So let's check that out. So these were the practice possibilities, and the 3 steps are tapping the ball against the ground, and then using the wall, and to have mid-high contacts and lower contacts when the ball comes down, and the board you can use for the balls which are coming up. So now we are going to play some balls, and we are going to watch it from the side, how much body turn you have, or does it really comes out of the hand, open and wait, and then flexion against the ball. Some balls will be very fast, so I will just block the balls, and then I'm going to ask the student to play the forehand as fast as he can, so that you have an idea of the speed. So she's 15, but she has a decent forehand, and if I go, I don't have all the time to do all this stuff to play the volley. I'm even happy to get there. So let's check out the part from the side and from the back. So check out how little body rotation, how little step in, and how little I follow towards target, just opening out of the hand, block it or flexion against it. So here I'm asking her to play a decent forehand within my reach, and I'm just focusing on opening the racket out of my wrist. And here I'm asking her to go for the passing shot, go for the winner, and see how little time you have to make that body turn, that step in, that follow towards target. Don't worry, you can play the volley easily out of your wrist, which gives you more time, and a motion much shorter, which is easier to control. So, thank you for watching. See you in another video.